Well, hello there! It's me, Gazbot, and I see you're back for another of Gazbot's Toy Shots. That's right, Gazbot's Toy Shots, where I, Gazbot, give a sort of summary of recent toy acquisitions, finds, deals, trades, things of that nature. Sometimes they're new toys, sometimes they're vintage. Let's see what's going on this time. The first thing I want to start off with is a loose thing I got from eBay, no box. What is this? This is Power Rangers Turbo Red. I'm gonna give you a closer look. As you can see, he is the chrome version. He has his blaster. He has some paint wear, which you probably can't see too well in the video, but I'll put up some pictures later. He came as part of a lot with Mighty Morphin Red Flip Head, the original one from the 90s, and a non-chrome version of Turbo Red, as well as the larger car, the name of which is escaping me at the moment, that Red would pilot. Now, I only wanted chrome red. I have a proclivity towards chrome vacuum formed figures from the 80s, 90s, whenever really, but 80s and 90s seems to be when you saw them the most. And although I have two versions of Turbo Red, despite not being a particular fan of Turbo, I now have my third version. So I like that he is the slim proportions as opposed to the muscular, and I like that he's chrome. I like that he has his gun. He does have more wear than I realized from the eBay pictures, and he's not super loose, but he's a little bit looser than I would have liked. I don't think I got a great deal, and here's why. I went in on it with the big dog, who specifically wanted the car, and I specifically wanted him. The other two figures are kind of up in the air, and we roughly were saying like, yeah, it'll probably be about 10 each, and we'll split up the goods, which could basically end up meaning that I paid 10 for this figure, which is too much. If he was in perfect condition, okay, but he's a little bit more scuffed than I'd liked, and maybe 5 would be a better price, 7. It's not like I did a terrible job, and nobody ripped me off. The pictures were clear on the internet. I just didn't look closely enough, and the big dog and I had agreed on a price, but it's just one of those cases where I was so excited to get the figure at a cheaper price, because I normally see him for more like 20. So I jumped at it. I don't really regret it, but I certainly could have got a better price. So that's Turbo Red. That was just a little something there. Next thing I want to show you, more Power Rangers. This is Lord Zedd. The original, well, the second villain, the first being Rita, and this was the second main villain from the American version of the Sentai known as Zyuranger, which in America was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, however, ran for 3 seasons, where it basically tried to keep the same suits that in Japan they only had for 1 season. And so they started filming new footage, creating new characters, things like that. And Lord Zedd is an American-only character, which I'm a fan of American-only, and he's a dastardly-looking guy with like metal faceplate and his muscles sticking out and stuff, and he was a fun villain. I don't have a figure of him. I have a little chibi one, but they never really made a really great figure of him. Back in the 90s, they had like a big barrel-chested one and a tall one. Nothing that would really fit in with my collection currently. This is the closest. This is from the Legacy line. Came out a year or 2 ago. I'm sure I put up the exact date when I brought him up. It's in the old vintage triangle style, and it's funny because like, yeah, 95, 96, vintage, but it is. That was 20 years ago. It hits you. That was 20 years ago. It's vintage. So I am not a huge fan, not that I'm not a fan of this packaging, but that wasn't the selling point for me, which it is for some people. For me, the selling point was a reasonable Lord Zedd figure. Now, I think there's one from the Super Legends line that was around when Jungle Fury RPM were out that might be similar or even better, but they're a little bit harder to get, a little more expensive. This one was on Toys R Us shelves. It still is technically, but I think it retailed for $15.99, and I kept waiting for it to go on sale. And they had the movie figures and other, re-releases of the 90s team, and there would always be 100 Lord Zedds, and they would never go down. Maybe they'd go down to 13 or 12 or something, but there's a Toys R Us by my house. It's closing down. I kept going back. I went there the last time. It's like almost done. It's like 5 days left. There's like one aisle of stuff, like 20 Lord Zedds, half price. So it was $8.50. $8.50, honestly, is still a hair more than I'd like to pay, but I want a Lord Zedd. New in the box, can't really beat it. I might upgrade it if the Super Legends is better, but for now, $8.50 Lord Zedd, I'll do it. All right, now we're gonna do a little bit of a throwback to this. What is this? Well, this is from Beetleborgs, Big Bad Beetleborgs, which is a show I've never watched. Actually, I watched half of the first episode just recently. I've seen the commercials, I have some of the toys. I like that they're metallic chrome things, and they're based on B-Fighter in Japan, which might enjoy more. Not that I don't even enjoy Beetleborgs, I just didn't grow up with it and haven't really watched it since. This, however, is their, like, transforming device. The Henshin device. You can see it's sort of like a beetle, and then you flip this part out, and it resembles a beetle. And I imagine it's a communicator. It's supposed to have light and sound. I got it for $1. I got this at a flea market in Delaware when I was down there a while ago. I forgot to mention it. And maybe it was 50 cents. 50 cents or $1. It was like a bunch of random junk on the table. Pay what you want. I suspected it might not work. I opened it up. It was all corroded. I cleaned it out, put new batteries in. It kind of made a light up for half a second and just stopped working. So, I mean, maybe I could figure something out to make it work, but generally it doesn't work. So I paid 50 cents, $1, and I got this, which is okay. I'll throw it in my drawer of henshin devices, but it's not something I'm going to be playing with or displaying prominently. But, you know, for the money I paid, it's still a deal. The reason I keep saying 50 cents or $1 is because of this. This I got along with it. He said, I'll just take 2 for the $1 then. This is from Turbo, Power Rangers Turbo. It's half of one of the vehicles, which becomes the arm. Why did I take this? See, there's the fist comes out. Now, why did I take this? Because online, I kind of want a Turbo, even though I'm not a big fan of the show, and actually I haven't watched all of the show, so maybe once I do, it'll bring me around. But I like the suit designs, and I really like the main Megazord. It looks very old school, 70s, 80s, even though it came out in the mid to late 90s. And I see a lot of them that are expensive, but some are less expensive because they're missing a few pieces. And often I see them missing half of one of the arms. So I figured for 50 cents or so, taking a half arm, I'll leave this in a box of stuff, and if I ever see one for cheap, I may get it for 20 bucks less because it's missing this piece. It's a long shot, I know, but it was a low risk since I basically was buying this and he threw this in with it. That's that. Woo. Okay, now the Big Daddy. You ready for this? What is this? It's huge. Well, believe it or not, it's actually not that big once we get going, but this is the shipping box it came in. And here you have it. What this is from Super Sentai, which is, again, the Power Rangers, you know, in Japan. There was a show, a season came out a couple years ago called Gokaiger, which is the pirate theme. As you can see, there's a pirate here. In America, it was Super Mega Force, and it's an anniversary season where they could transform into any past Ranger using Ranger keys. Now, the toys came out in America and Japan. They're different. The American ones are smaller, and that's the main. There's a bunch of differences, but the main thing is the American ones are smaller and they have a spring-loaded thing. The Japanese ones have a more accurate to screen look, and they have more characters. There's more to collect, but a lot of them are more expensive. And this is a set that came out after the line was theoretically done. You can see on the back here, the big draw was this guy. Now he is from Goseiger, which was regular Megaforce in America, and Goseiger Green was never in the show, and that's who this is. But he was in the backstory, you kind of saw his boots, you knew he existed, but we never got to see him. So seeing this costume and helmet is the first time anybody's seen it, is for this toy. They kind of fleshed out the legacy to do that. Now this is sort of a slipcase over the whole thing. Inside, the box is very nice. The whole packaging is very nice. You can see they have gold symbols of the various teams that are represented by these keys. This is the Lost Edition or Lost Wave key set. As I said, Gokaiger finished, and that should have been the end of it. But then they had another season called Go Busters. They released keys for them and a new device that would work with it. And then a few extra, there was a movie and this and that. So theoretically it was done. This came out. Now since this came out, a few more have come out, but this was a surprise at the time. And I got it through, you can't buy it in America, you can't get it through Amazon, you have to go through a Japanese reseller or some a middleman that you know lives in Japan or something like that. I went through Tokulectables, I'll put a link below. This is the second thing I bought from them. I have a few more in order. I've had a very good experience with them, so I recommend them. They're good customer service, good at responding. And I can't speak to all their prices, but at least on the things I was looking at, their prices were competitive, very competitive, to the point of being cheapest in some areas, especially with the key sets. It had two things going for it. I'm going to just pick this up so you can look while I'm talking. One thing it had going for it was that it had some sets of keys and other things that I wanted that were no longer available anywhere else. The pre-orders were over or the pre-orders were full. And on top of that, their price was cheaper than a lot of places. So most of the places were sold out. They were not. And the places that were not sold out that I looked at, like Anime Japan, which is a store in New York, like $100 more. It was crazy. And this is not a cheap set. So they were already expensive and they ramped it up. Very competitive, just a little bit over retail. You know, again, these are expensive sets. These are not for the faint of heart, but I went down this rabbit hole of collecting and I've done a good job of getting most of my collection for relatively cheap. Used online, I went to Japan, I got them for next to nothing. So filling in the set with these more expensive pieces, you know, I'm giving myself a little bit of a luxury. And as you can see, these are painted. There's three versions of these types of keys. Some are painted completely, some have stickers completely, and some have painted chests and sticker bottoms. These are the painted chests and sticker bottoms. And what that means is, on the back, I'm going to open one up here. You can see on the front, it's completely painted. But the way these work is they represent a character, you click them, and they become a key. And it should have a color and the logo of their team. It does not. It came with a set of stickers. Now what I really like is it came with duplicate stickers so that if you mess some up or if they get messed up over time, you have an extra set. And I think that's really nice. I also really like this case. It's kind of a bummer because it takes up so much room, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 keys for this huge big box that's going to take up room in my, in my closet. And I guess it's meant to display or whatever, but I'm going to put them on my shelf with the others. Now what I want to show you here is the actual functionality. This is the, I believe, second generation Henshin device, which is called the Moburate, I believe is how it's pronounced. So you open it up, flip this guy down. And you can see this is a Go Buster key. And so it names Go Buster, and you press the button again, and you get the more full team name. Now, I believe all of these teams have already been represented, so they should say the correct names. So there are some keys on the earlier device that wouldn't say it, would just say special or something like that. But these are all missing members of teams that were pre-programmed in. So I'll just do one more. This is, actually, I'll go ahead and show this one. Again, this was like the big deal in the set. The rest of these filled out collections that were missing some or were newer versions from movies, but this is Gosei Green, who no one has seen before. And he's actually a little bit tealish or a little bit aqua-ish. I mean, he's definitely more green than blue, but I thought he would be green, and he's not quite green. But let's go ahead and put him in. So you get Goseiger, and then his full... There you go. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but I am excited about this set. I'll put up a picture at the end. Actually, you know what I might do is at the end of the video, if you're curious, I'll put each one in and turn it so you can hear it, but I'm going to make everyone else sit through it. And that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Gazbot's Toy Shots. Hey, you stuck around. Okay, let's do it. Here's Go Buster Blue. Woohoo! All right, a Mega Force Green. These are the two you've already seen, but I figured I'll just put them all together. I said Mega Force Green. I meant to say Goseiger. Mega Force is the American. There's another look at him. All right, so let's see what we got next. We got Go Buster Red. Now these Go Busters have been released, but these are slightly different outfits for different animal Zords, I believe they got, possibly from the movie. I haven't seen it, so I'm just kind of extrapolating from what I've seen. But there's Red. So you can see Go Buster, red, yellow, blue. It's all the same. Most of the teams, if not all, just say the name of them. I know in the American version they will call out the different colors for the Super Mega Force, which was the pirate line. I don't think it even does that for these. But there are other hidden things you can do, like if you put a whole team in or, things like that. Here's Go Buster Yellow. Okay, I'm not going to bother putting that in. This is, I believe, Live Man Green with the little vest. I think it's Live Man. We'll find out in a minute. This is one of the older Sentai from before the Power Rangers started using the footage. Mask Man. I was wrong. Okay. Some of the earlier ones I'm a little shaky on my. Oh, I didn't give you the second one. I'm a little shaky on the exact names and stuff. Here we have, I think this is from SPD, or Deca Ranger, I should say, which is a season I have not watched. They did a movie called 10 Years Later, which excites me very much. It looks like a Silver Ranger, which literally, they stopped filming the show, then 10 years later, they did a movie with the same actors and everything, like as though 10 years had passed, which I think is amazing. So I'm right, it's Deca Ranger. SPD! What's interesting is they use SPD as part of the call sign, the English letters, and so then in America it was called SPD, which was like Special Defense Force or Special Patrol Defense, something like that. It was like a space cop kind of thing. Over here we have another Deca Ranger / SPD. This one's pretty cool. It's sort of a gold metallic. And I imagine they're going to say the same thing. I'll put it in just to make sure though. Deca Ranger. Okay, so we'll put him aside. Let's see, we're coming down. We got 5 more. This is Kaku Ranger, which in America was known as the Alien Rangers, which was made into part of Mighty Morphin as a separate team. These were not Earth Rangers, they were Alien Rangers that came down. But it was a ninja theme in Japan, and it was called Kaku Ranger. Oh, I am totally wrong. Hurricaneger, which was Ninja Storm. I mixed it up. This was Ninja Storm. Ninpu Sentai. Hurricaneger. I have not watched that season, so I don't know anything about it. This character is black. I don't know why they weren't releasing the main thing. Maybe there was Six Ranger or a bad guy or something, but they were part of this Lost Edition wave. Okay, what do we got here? This is another Go Buster. Go Buster Black. Again, must be from the movie or a secondary, tertiary character. Not familiar, but I'm not going to put it in. There's a lot of Go Busters in this. Actually, I think we're closing out. All the rest of these are Go Busters. I'm gonna put this in just to make sure I'm not mistaken about that. Go Busters. Here's Go Buster Green. And then these ones are kind of cool too. We got Go Buster Silver. I might be naming these wrong. This could be like Mercury or, you know, iron or tin or something, but having not watched the show, I'm just going with the colors. And then we have Gold, Go Buster Gold. I'm gonna just double check these are actually Go Busters. Yeah, they're Go Busters. All right, so that's it. If you stayed for this little extra, you're as big of a Sentai nerd as I am, or you like toys as much as I do, or you forgot to press stop. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. See you next time on Gazbots. Toy Bots.